what is up. So you can clearly see that we are not in Spain at the moment. This is my mug. This is my mug. Coffee tastes nicer out of glass mugs. Anyway, so we're not in Spain at the moment. I am back in Ireland because I want to finish off my prep here. So I'm going to be competing in 2 weeks' time. And with that, I want to have all my travel out of the way. As well as like this weekend I'm going to be going down to abs, which is tomorrow on Sunday, and that's going to be my heavy squat session of prep. So I did want to get a few sessions in abs. Number one, to train on some equipment that I'm going to be using in competition. Number two, and probably they're not in rank order of importance, right? But number two, to just train around everybody in the gym. Starting training in abs years ago really kind of opened up my mind to, what's possible when it does come to strength sports, and how much you can push yourself and the standard that you can hold yourself to. So I want to be able to train around a lot of lads. Like, haven't trained around them since I was a member there. It'd be a nice way to kind of finish off prep, as well as have some safety with the spotters and accountability, right? Because they don't hold back in abs. Like, if you squat high, they'll let you know, and they're going to hold you to that standard when you're in the gym. So it's going to be good for me. So I'm going to get my squats done tomorrow, and then I have my heaviest deadlifts then on Tuesday, and then after that it's pretty much kind of easy sailing into the competition. Like, we still have training to do the entirety of the next week, but there will be some kind of backing off of accessories which I'll bring you through. It's probably quite funny if you have been following this daily vlogs, and obviously over the last week or so they have not been daily, and honestly just being a little bit kind of slower on the upload side of things. Now, my Wednesday vlog, which I was meant to upload, I'm still trying to upload, which I probably won't upload now. It's just been kind of fucking up on my computer. Every time I export it, I'm having technical issues, you could say. So what I'm going to do in this vlog, obviously going to vlog today, but I'm probably just going to play bits and pieces from Wednesday and Thursday throughout. I didn't vlog at all yesterday. Now, I was traveling, of course, and there wasn't actually anything to document other than me getting really pissed off because I had one of these, and filled up 2 liters full of water, fell off my bag while I was queuing up to get a sandwich, and it broke all over the floor, spilled everywhere, made a massive scene. And I was only in that queue because I had prepped 2 meals. It's going to be prepared for the flight. It's going to be really set, really well fed. Nail my nutrition for the day. And I leave them in the car. I forgot to take them out of the car as I was going into the airport. Absolute sickening. So yeah, that was my day yesterday, and a little bit of training. I am an absolute devil for not turning on these mics. I've recorded maybe 10 minutes of content there and didn't have this guy turned on, which is fucking phenomenal. Anyway, I have started my leg training session, so welcome to today's vlog first and foremost. So started my leg session today. So essentially today's session is, it's meant to be kind of a bridge between the secondary squat session to my main session, right? So today's Thursday. Usually I train legs on Thursday. If you watched the previous Thursday vlogs, this is what I was doing. However, last week I was actually flying on Thursday, if you do remember. So I didn't train at all that day because I had a splitting headache from the jet lag, from flying, whatever. So now is my first time doing this session in 2 weeks. I have my heaviest squat session on Sunday. So essentially what I'm doing today is, as opposed to doing the full leg session, because I didn't do it last week, so I know if I do it this week, my legs are going to be wrecked by the time I do my Sunday squat session. So I'm essentially just going to do my squats. I'm going to do 2 sets of leg extensions. Leg extensions, generally they're not too fatiguing. You're not going to get too much DOMs from them. At least I don't. But then my exercise after that is Bulgarians, if I do more than 2 sets, my legs are completely wrecked for days. So I'm just going to do 1 set of those, just for essentially maintenance volume, right? And to keep some kind of stimulus there versus overloading my session and writing myself off today, which is essentially going to have a knock-on impact to my main squat session on Sunday, which is the most important one, right? So it's trying to consider tomorrow versus just having too much importance placed on today's session, for example, right? Which today's session, in all likelihood, at this point in time, doesn't matter all that much. I'm not really too concerned about my muscle gain at the moment. It's at the moment I'm kind of like in maintenance mode for that. So going to get into my second set here. So I'm doing 4 sets of pause squats with a high bar at a 5, at a 6, and 2 sets at 7. So they're going nicely, and one thing I'm really trying to think about at that bottom position is just making sure I'm holding the brace, because it's very easy when you are doing a pause squat or when you're just doing a regular squat and you dive bomb into the bottom to kind of lose that brace, and that's one of the big benefits of doing a pause squat. So I'm going to get into this second set, and hopefully you'll be able to see me kind of really maintaining tension through that bottom position, maintaining my form as well at the bottom, not letting myself kind of fall to the bottom, and hitting depth, of course. All right, let's get into it. Probably one of the most important pieces of equipment that a powerlifter can have, especially during the rest periods, is his seat. So there's like no benches really other than in the bench area, which are pretty much all taken at the moment. So I have to just kind of stand or lean against things, which for myself as a powerlifter who is quite often lazy outside of when they're training, it's a bit of a hassle. Anyway, we have our first set at 7. So I need to try make this less mid-bar and more high bar. Ugh. People get really up in a bunch about what where some people will place a bar for like high bar. But I've had it before on some videos, which is, to be fair, it's like a fair criticism. It's like the bar is not actually as high as maybe they would, or by the definition of a high bar squat would be right. Usually the definition of high bar squat is the bar will be on your upper traps, low bar, the bar will be on your rear delts or on your lower rear delts, right? Whereas my low bar is pretty low, I would think. So any kind of deviation from that, like this feels like it's kind of like the middle of my upper traps, if that makes sense, as opposed to being the upper of my upper traps. So that to me feels like high bar. And like the way I think about high bar, it's more so the change in torso position, as well as the relative contribution of lower body musculature to the actual movement. So with the more upright torso position and the high bar position, you're probably going to have more forward knee drive. That's probably going to have more of a contribution coming from the quads through the lift, versus when I have more of a low bar position, I'm probably getting more work from my hip extensors. So for what I get from the movement when I have the bar at this kind of like mid bar position, if you want to call it that, I am kind of achieving that goal. So essentially that's why I go with that, and it's comfortable for me. Like if I have the bar too high, I just feel like I get it on my neck, and it can slightly roll there, as well as like obviously there's less surface area for the bar to be placed on, so there's almost like more of a balance component then, as well as like stabilizing the bar. So that's kind of the reason why I kind of keep it more of my middle upper traps as opposed to upper traps. So yeah, I mean, look, if it's higher than your low bar, it's high bar. Obviously you can take the piss and it could just be like a centimetre or two away from that, but that's not really going to achieve the kind of goal of what a high bar is trying to achieve, which is again the more forward knee travel, more quad contribution. Anyway, let's get into this final set. We'll stop running our mouth. Okay, I forgot to brace in that second rep. You can go. Yeah, you're fine. So I mentioned about not getting as sore from doing a leg extension versus Bulgarian. So I'm gonna explain a little bit about that, okay? So muscle damage, DOMS, it is gonna affect force production. So if you are coming into a squat session, deadlift session, and you're very sore, especially in the muscle groups that are going to be contributing also to that lift, you're probably not going to perform as well. Now you can still train, but you just might not be able to lift as heavy as you could, okay? So, doing something like a leg extension, for example, relative to a Bulgarian, right? A Bulgarian, multiple different muscle groups are going to be working at the same time. Naturally, where the Bulgarian's hardest is also when a lot of these muscles are going to be in a most kind of stretch position. Long muscle lengths, they're going to be a lot more damaging, a lot more fatiguing than something that is a short range bias, right? Leg extension, particularly this one, right? It is the hardest at the top, but my quads are contracted. Now, that is going to give me probably a little bit more like acute disruption, going to get more pump in my quads, for example, more metabolite buildup. However, it does kind of dissipate quite quickly. And like relative to if I had this set in the kind of lengthened position, like you could with a prime, I would bet that if I did the shorter position prime versus the length position prime on a leg extension, that the length position one would probably lead me to having more DOMs and potentially as well, like more potential, like kind of, you can get more joint soreness, right? Because not only are you stretching the muscle, but you're also exposing your tendon to more kind of load and more kind of stretch when you're in that kind of fully flexed position or fully lengthened position. So that's why I'm doing some more sets of this. Okay, some more sets on the quad extension. Again, one reason it's not going to be as damaging is because it's only challenging one muscle group really. So doing 2 sets. The 2 sets of this would probably be almost equivalent to doing one set of Bulgarians realistically. And even still, I reckon that Bulgarian set would probably trump it. So yeah, if you do need to kind of keep in some volume, or if you're like bringing volume back in, or even if it's, if you're looking to just bring volume back in after maybe you've been like me and you kind of missed a little bit of volume last week, like probably increasing the sets more on the short range bias movements is probably going to lead to have less muscle damage than the more length position ones. But again, it's kind of like, you know, how much does it really matter? Obviously, placement over your kind of training days is going to matter for a lot. So, you know, that's why I am ensuring I'm not wiping myself out with Bulgarians, because type of exercise when you're doing them, you kind of want to push them hard, you know. All right, let's get into this set. So this would probably be my first working set because the last one was not too challenging. When you're doing leg extension, what you really want to do is make sure you're gripping those handles, pulling yourself into the seat. Now, you might see them kind of sitting upright a little bit. That's just essentially kind of flex the hip a little bit more, which is going to shorten the rectus femoris, which is the head of the quad that's crossed behind my hip as well as my knee. So the more flex I'm getting here, the shorter that's getting here. And then as I extend my legs, it's getting even shorter again. So it's getting as short as I possibly can. And if you want to get a little bit more length, you can obviously lean back, but then again, you need to have the hips to be going into a more extended position really to get more length into it, okay? Similar to if you're doing a reverse Nordic. All right. Alright, it is time for the final boss. I do believe if you do one set of these, it's probably sufficient. You know, I'm gonna actually believe the Mike Mentzer hype for this one. So I have the bar set up here, and I have a little roller over it. So the reason I actually like to use a roller over it if I can is if I use one of like the pads on it, the pad always like rotates around, and like then you're just left with like raw bar on the inside of your ankle, and it can be quite painful. And like, you know, look, they're tough enough exercise as it is. Don't need to add any unnecessary pain to them. So with these, I'm going to start off with my weaker side first. So this side here, my left side, has definitely the worst mobility. Like when I do these single legs, I'm all over the shop. Now I'm doing it with both sides loaded because I get a little bit more weight, but I actually feel far more balanced when I actually use the weights in two hands. So we're going to do one set here. Just going to go all out. It is about 35 kilos per hand. Previously in Canada, last time I did them, I was using like 80 pounds, which is around the same. So I'm just going to go all out, see how many reps I can do. I'm not going to push all the way to failure. Probably just like, you know, stop just on that final rep where I'm starting to like slow down, because, you know, if we start going beyond failure again, fatigue. Feel like usually I'd fucking tell myself to cop on if I'm like talking about fatigue in a training session. I just fucking train. But again, you have to kind of pick your battles. Plenty of time for retarded balls to wall training. This is the rooftop of the gym. You can come out and chill out here. It's pretty cool. Nice mountain in the background. And a lovely view of the industrial estate. Charming. Right, so that is the session of the day complete. The sadist inside me definitely did want to do another set or two of Bulgarians, because I don't know, I actually don't find them that bad. Like that, like they're obviously sore, they're obviously challenging. However, like aren't all exercises meant to be somewhat challenging? Like the feeling you get after them of like, again, I just describe it as like a 360-degree pump in your legs and just feeling full as fuck is, man, that's an incredible feeling. But anyway, the plan for the rest of the day now is get home. I need to pack because I'm flying back to Ireland tomorrow. It's constant change of location, but you know, it's short term, and when we get home we're onto the final stretch then of the prep. Again, we have one more heavy squat session, one more heavy deadlift, and then we're pretty much starting to taper. So if you're not fortunate enough to live in Ireland, you probably haven't seen this. This is turkey pudding. It's actually very difficult to describe what it is, but it is amazing, right? It is fucking phenomenal. I have two of these. I can't get them outside of Ireland. Unfortunately, I really miss this when I was in Canada because it just adds to the breakfast meal. So you can go with that brand or like little Aldi. Aldi is usually where I'll go as opposed to Lidl. I think Aldi's brand is a little bit better. Then we have these, so bacon medallions. So I go for the smoked ones. Again, they just are essentially like rashers with the rinds cut off. Bagels, I usually go for these poppy seed ones. Now, unfortunately, they discontinued the New York Bakery bagel brand, which is an absolute travesty because they were the best bagels. Now, Ireland, unlike Canada, has a shocking bagel scene. No blueberry bagels here, so, and even these ones, they're probably the best of a bad bunch, realistically, you know. So yeah, we need to improve our bagel game. So if any Irish bakers are out there watching, here's a market that you could move into. Then on the mushrooms and tomatoes, you would think that this is not very important, but it matters to me. So chestnut mushrooms, again, amazing. In Canada, they have like cremini mushrooms, which don't quite taste the same. These actually have a kind of a nutty taste to them, which is lovely, as well as piccolo cherry tomatoes. Yeah, piccolo cherry tomatoes. These are lovely, very juicy. So yeah, they're perfect. Then just eggs, and now I don't have any maple butter with me, which is very sad. And I only have one tub of maple butter to do me for the rest of my time, so I'm gonna have to find a different solution. However, this is what I'm gonna be using now for the next few weeks. So on one half of my bagel, I'm gonna have sweet and salty peanut butter with raspberry jam over strawberry jam any day. As well as on the other half, I'm going to have some honey and some sea salt. Try it. Bagel, honey, sea salt. It's fucking amazing. Feeding time once again. So I am getting quite consistent with the potatoes again. Broccoli, carrots, chicken thighs. So since for my weight cut, I'm going to be manipulating fibre, I want to ensure that I have a decent amount of fibre in my diet. So when I was probably consuming rice twice a day, my fibre is going to be a little bit lower relative to now when I have potatoes, because I eat potatoes with skin on as well, and that's where the fibre is going to be mostly found. And then as well, just like having a small increase in like my vegetable content, just being a little bit more mindful of micronutrients as well, right? Because ultimately they are important. They do help with performance. They do help with recovery. I was reading a massive like systematic review this morning, or I kind of got like part way through it, and like it is actually interesting seeing like how all of them to some extent will affect, even if it's not like directly impacting performance, but if it is like impacting like a component of health, for example, like say for example a lot of some micronutrients, the likes like vitamin A, vitamin E, like they're going to be antioxidants. They are going to neutralize things like free radicals. When we're producing energy and we're utilizing ATP, it doesn't just like disappear like once it's used, right? There's going to be some byproducts off the back of that, and these can be these free oxygen species or radical oxygen species, whatever you want to call them. And if they have too much of a build up, we can essentially delay our recovery time. And again, some of these micronutrients, antioxidants, vitamin C and AE, they can help with like reducing the lag time on getting rid of those essentially. So they are just kind of some simple ones. Say for example, the carrots here, they're going to have vitamin A in them, and it's actually something that probably hasn't been too prominent in my diet because I haven't had many red, orange foods, and that's primarily where you're going to get them from. You kind of get them from the likes of peppers, like that is a thing. However, if I only have 50 grams of peppers in my diet, how much vitamin A am I getting? So a bit more of an inclusion of the likes of the carrots there. Definitely going to try to include red meat more consistently in. And this is like one of the things with like red meat, for example, right? So there is like a pretty strong link between increased meat consumption and particularly like saturated fat intake and like developing cardiovascular disease. Now, what may be more beneficial from a performance standpoint is not necessarily always beneficial from a health standpoint. So again, the kind of recommendation for red meat consumption is something like I think it's like 75 grams. I think it could be like 75 grams or 150 grams a week, which is nothing. And like there's going to be beneficial micronutrients that you can get from red meat, for example, like the likes of zinc, get like the likes of iron, but you can also get them from other sources, right? So I do think if you're going to include more of it, you do also have to just kind of understand the cons. Like I definitely do think having more red meat in diet is going to be more bioavailable forms of those nutrients, for example. But at the end of the day, like long term, like you have to think like, what is the risk? Personally, I don't really mind the risk as much, but somebody else might not necessarily think that risk is worth taking. Particularly if like particularly if you're somebody who, you know, maybe a bit more environmentally conscious, because that's also another component of, like, you know, if you want to eat red meat or have high red meat amounts in your diet. So yeah, it's lots of different things to consider when you're looking to build out a diet, of course, and thinking about your own preferences. But it's just essentially a little bit of tidbit as to why I'm increasing, you know, more kind of nutrient dense food. As well, my calories are not as high. My calories are now kind of pulled down to 4,000, so I'm just going to eat in things that are just like a little bit more filling, and, you know, I don't want to necessarily feel like too hungry throughout the day, but I also want to feel good, energized, and most importantly, recover from my training. Anyway, post lunch snack. I'm telling you, right? This stuff, it's like less than 50 cents for a tub. Talk about 400 calories for it. Very easy to eat. I used to smash maybe like 3 or 4 of these a day when I worked in FlyFit, just to get the calories in. Super handy, super cheap. If you're a hard gainer, get on this. Wagwan, we are back in the kitchen. So it's burrito time. So today's kind of turned into a little bit of a full day of eating, but we've already got pretty much some bit of training in there with the Thursday session. I'm not going to include Wednesday because just looking at the running time there, it's getting to be a pretty long video. So, right, bringing through the burrito because I get asked this all the time, exactly what to do. Alright, so simple stuff. We have the garlic and onion in here. We have our veg in here. So this is pepper, mushroom and black beans. So I use about 50 grams of the onion, 15 grams of garlic, and then 50 grams of each of these. Then I prefer to use chicken thighs because they're just nicer than chicken breast, and because I can afford to get them in with my calories. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to dice up the chicken here. Now, once I have it diced up, I'm going to use some breadcrumbs on it, right? So panko breadcrumbs, doesn't have to be panko, but panko are nice. They're nice and kind of flaky. So use that. And I also get the taco seasoning. So I'm really looking to shred up the chicken, because then when I put it into the air fryer and when I start to like mix it around the burrito, like there's gonna be like chicken everywhere. It's like the benefit of using mince without using mince. So this is the seasoning I go for. I go for taco seasoning. It's nicer than the fajita one or the burrito one from Old El Paso, and just these breadcrumbs. So again, all this I just picked up in Tesco. So we're gonna season this up. I don't weigh the seasonings, so just fucking freeball it because I'm mad like that. And I don't weigh the breadcrumbs either, even though I probably should. And if you're my client, you absolutely should be fucking weighing these things, right? Don't be hiding the stuff from MyFitnessPal. Don't do as I say, not as I do. All right. Okay. Oh fuck. Right, they're spilling a little bit. I have to get a Hoover out. All right. Bit of salt. Bit of pepper. Now you don't need any fucking egg white batter or anything like that to make it thick. You just mash it up. The breadcrumbs, the seasoning, it sticks on anyway. You might see some people say that you need to use like egg whites or an egg yolk to have the flakes stick on. I don't do any of that bullshit. I just mix it around, and now I chuck it into the air fryer. So next up, throw a bit of spray oil, throw it into the air fryer, and that'll be ready in about 12 minutes or so. So not a huge amount of prep time actually really needed for these burritos at all, because by the time the chicken's done, the veg is all going to be cooked as well. Okay, so next up is the veg. So I've went through my veg process a good few times, I'm pretty sure, in regards to how I will do the onion and garlic first. So just wait for this to simmer, to heat up. Oh, good water. It's so nice to be able to drink out the tap again, because that's one thing I'm actually, well, look, it's a small downside of living in Spain, is that you have to buy bottled water everywhere, because it's tolerable to a degree. Like, I can drink it, but it's just not nice. I'm not one of those tinfoil hat people who's like, there's fucking shit in the water that the government are trying to, like, I don't know, deplete our testosterone or control our brains or anything like that. It just doesn't taste nice. That's what it. I'll drink tap water from here all day because it tastes good here in Ireland, right? That is the onion and garlic and a bit of salt and pepper. Throw a bit of water in it and let them cook a little bit better and give them a bit more moisture. That's the main thing. Just give it a bit more moisture. All right. Okay. So in the meantime, I'm going to wash up my board, because I'm the type of person who washes up everything first before I sit down. I just don't really like mess. I'm just not a messy. I can't deal with mess. It fucks with my head. So anyway, I'm going to do that, and then I'll show you when I throw these on. Okay, it is time. I need to turn this pan down because it's cooking a little bit too quick. Alright, so that is the other veg in. Now, this part is key. What we're going to do is we are going to get taco seasoning, sprinkle a little bit more in, and then throw some more water in. Again, just gives them a little bit longer of a cooking time, so I feel like the veg kind of breaks down a little bit better. So it's still crunchy, but it is also soft. So I kind of like it being a little bit softer than overly crunchy. And I feel also it just makes the seasoning less kind of dry as well. So who would have thought? You add water to shit and it makes stuff less dry. All right. Bit of a clean up as well, just while I'm waiting. Otherwise, my mother will kill me. Alright, we are almost done the chicken, but we need to give it a little bit of a mix up. You see it there. Just so it doesn't overly cook on one side. Cooks a little bit more evenly. Have the veg simmering away here. Simmering. Okay, so we are almost ready to roll up. So I have no rice cooker here in Ireland, so I've just been using these. So very handy. Now I have not heated this up at all, so I just open it and throw it in because I'm heating it up in the pan, so there's no real need to microwave it, right? It says that on the instructions too, so very handy way to do it. I usually go for jasmine rice just because I just like the texture of it. I feel like it does have a very distinct texture versus like just easy cook or like long grain rice, and definitely is fucking miles better than basmati. So I was going to use some red cheddar as well. So I will weigh this, of course, because it's a fat, and even though it looks like you're only putting on a small bit, it's very calorie dense, right? So if you are putting cheese on things, you absolutely need to weigh it. It's often the foods that seem like the least calorific, which are, right? So how much is that? 35. Perfect. It's all I need. It's all I want. Okay. Now, so I put in the cheese now versus like adding it later, because the cheese is going to help everything stick together. So it makes it easier to actually transfer everything into the burritos. Also, very important to add in my salsa. Perfect. All right, now chicken is done. Look at that, lovely and crispy. Right, now put the chicken in. Lovely. Right, now basically just mix it all up so that we have a nice mixture to transfer into our wraps. So you can see right here, that's what it looks like. Oh yeah. Now, to be honest, in a dieting scenario, I would just eat it like that, right? I would just take out the wraps. Very easy way of reducing calories. And like when I was in prep in 2022, I was actually eating a meal pretty much the exact same as that for a good few weeks. Now, these are the wraps that I've been using since I came home, right? So char grilled, no specific reason for that. I just think they look nice. So we're gonna whip out 3 of these bad boys, and we're gonna start the process of wrapping and transferring into the air fryer. And no, I did not clean the air fryer because I'm just not arsed. I don't mind if I get a little bit of chicken flavouring onto my wraps, considering they are going in my mouth anyway, right? So it's always a little bit of cough. So it's always a little bit of a sticky one, trying to get the wrap right, which is more so down to ensuring that I have put in the appropriate amount of mixture. Because if you put in too much mixture, you know, you're just left with a very difficult wrap. Oh, you know, a perfect wrap. I should get a job in Boojum. Well, I don't think I want a job in Boojum, to be honest. All right, that was actually the perfect amount. Maybe it's recording is increasing the pressure of getting these perfect. So it would be the perfect burrito tutorial. So the way I do it, get everything centered up. All right. Fold up the bottom end, fold up the top end, and then roll over the 2 sides, okay? Roll over. Oh yeah. It is an art. It is an art. Like if you've ever looked at people in Chipotle and Boojum wrapping these monstrous burritos, you really do get a newfound appreciation for what goes into it. Okay, this is going to be a tough one because I think this one has too much in it. Yeah, it does. Oh, I spoke too soon. All right, let's go. Can we do it? Oh, just about. All right. Now they're in. Now next up is to add in a little bit of oil, make them crispy, and straight into the air fryer. Boom, and that is the burrito tutorial. And when they come out, I'll show you them, and then we'll wrap today up. And here we have them in all their glory. It's gonna be a shame when I have to cook calories and these have to go, but you know what, for now, we'll ride it out. Anyway, thank you very much for following along today. If you made it to the end, you definitely got some nice reward here. Tomorrow, heavy squat session to prep. Feel good for it. Obviously, well fueled. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow in abs.